This ghetto card is a fake. You probably found it in a dumpster. Elena Vasquez slammed Damon Alexander's Black American Express card onto the marble counter. The sound echoed through Grand Meridian's lobby like a gunshot. Look at this clown. She grabbed the card, waved it above her head for everyone to see. A black beggar trying to use a black card. Phones lifted instantly. Guests circled closer. Damon stood motionless in his plain jeans and wrinkled shirt. Elena flicked the card at his chest with contempt. It bounced off, clattering to the floor. "Security!" she screamed, pointing at him like he'd committed murder. Damon bent slowly, picked up his card. His smile never wavered, the same quiet expression that once terrified playground bullies. 20 witnesses, multiple cameras rolling, one massive mistake brewing. Have you ever watched someone destroy their entire career in 30 seconds? Derek Phillips emerged from behind the mahogany reception desk, his manager's badge catching the crystal chandelier light. His eyes swept Damon from head to toe with practiced disdain. "Elena's absolutely right." Derek's voice projected across the bustling lobby. "These fraud attempts are getting ridiculous." He snatched the black card from Damon's palm, holding it up like a courtroom exhibit. A cluster of well-dressed guests paused their conversations, phones already recording. "Ladies and gentlemen," Derek announced theatrically, "Witness Exhibit A, a supposed premium card from someone who clearly shops at Goodwill." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. A woman in Chanel whispered to her husband, "How embarrassing for the hotel." Elena stepped forward, emboldened by Derek's support. "Sir, did you specifically request the black card to match your demographic? That's some next-level planning right there." More phones appeared. The lobby's Instagram-famous influencer, at luxurylifestyle_Bry, tilted her camera toward the unfolding drama. Her live stream counter read 847 viewers and climbed. "OMG, you guys," she whispered into her phone. "This hotel situation is getting wild. This guy is trying to scam his way into the penthouse with a fake black card. I'm literally shaking right now." Comments flooded her screen. "Call the police. Hotels need better security." This is so cringe. Damon checked his vintage Omega 647 PM. His phone buzzed insistently against his chest. The caller ID flashed CFO, Alexander Industries, but he declined without looking. "I have a 7:30 dinner meeting," Damon said calmly. "Let's resolve this quickly." Elena burst into mocking laughter. "Oh, he has a meeting!" Probably at McDonald's drive-thru. The crowd's amusement grew bolder. A teenage TikToker captured Elena's performance, already crafting the perfect caption, "Hotel Karen versus Mysterious Man Part 1. Derek leaned against the counter, addressing his audience like a seasoned performer. "Sir, we'll need 3 forms of government ID, a bank statement, your mother's maiden name, and a blood sample before processing any financial instrument from people in your situation." His situation? Damon's eyebrow lifted slightly. "You know exactly what I mean." Derek's smile turned predatory. Individuals who attempt to use financial products significantly above their apparent socio-economic bracket. In his shirt pocket, the edge of a first-class boarding pass, Chicago to Tokyo, departing tomorrow morning, remained barely visible. None of the staff noticed. Elena grabbed the card back from Derek, examining it under the lobby's bright lights. "This plastic feels cheap. Real Amex black cards have weight, texture. This is probably one of those prepaid cards with a black coating." She held it between her thumb and forefinger like something diseased. "I bet if we scrape this, we'll find a regular debit card underneath." A distinguished elderly couple watched from leather armchairs nearby. The husband leaned toward his wife. "Probably stole it from his employer's wallet. These people have no shame." Their conversation carried clearly across the marble floor. Damon's jaw tightened imperceptibly, the first crack in his composed facade. His phone buzzed again. This time the screen showed board meeting, 15 minutes. He declined silently. At Luxury Lifestyle, Bry's viewer count hit 1,200. Her comments section exploded. "This is racist AF. Where's hotel security? Someone help this man. This is why I don't stay at cheap hotels." But she kept filming, her voice breathy with excitement. "I've never seen anything like this before. The staff here is absolutely destroying this guy. Should I intervene? Let me know in the comments." Derek walked around the counter, positioning himself between Damon and the elevators. His body language screamed authority, chest puffed, arms crossed. "Here's what's going to happen," Derek announced, loud enough for the growing crowd. "You're going to admit this card is fraudulent, apologize to our guests for this disturbance, and leave quietly through the service exit. We won't call the police if you cooperate." Elena nodded enthusiastically. "Otherwise, we're looking at criminal charges." "Credit card fraud is a federal offense, sir. They take that very seriously when it involves repeat offenders." The teenage TikToker's eyes widened. This was pure gold content. Her finger hovered over the Go Live button. Damon remained perfectly still, his slight smile never wavering. 26 people now surrounded the reception area, a perfect circle of phones and curious faces. "I understand you're doing your job," Damon said quietly, his voice carried despite its softness. "But you're about to make a very expensive mistake." Elena scoffed. "The only mistake here is yours, thinking you could waltz into a 5-star hotel looking like a janitor and fool anyone with this plastic toy." She tossed the card onto the counter dismissively. It spun twice before settling face down, the American Express logo hidden. The wall clock above reception showed 6:52 p.m. Time was running short. Derek pulled out his phone, thumb hovering over his contacts. "Last chance. Admit fraud and walk away or spend the night in county jail." At Luxury Lifestyle, Bree's livestream peaked at 1,847 viewers. Her comment feed became a waterfall of reactions. "This hotel is about to get sued." "Someone screen record this." "Plot twist. He's actually rich. This man's patience is incredible." But Damon just stood there, hands clasped behind his back, watching Derek's finger hover over the phone screen. His expression remained unreadable, a man holding cards that nobody else could see. In his pocket, his phone buzzed one final time. He glanced at the screen. "Emergency board call, Chairman Williams." This time Damon answered. "Patricia, I'll call you back in exactly 5 minutes." His voice was silk over steel. "Something interesting is happening that requires my immediate attention." Derek's confidence faltered slightly. The name Chairman Williams didn't register, but the tone in Damon's voice carried weight that even Derek's limited emotional intelligence could detect. Elena, however, remained oblivious. "Who's he calling? His parole officer?" The crowd laughed, but some faces showed the first hints of uncertainty. Something in Damon's posture had shifted. Not defeat, but preparation. The storm was about to break. Jake Morrison's heavy footsteps echoed across marble as Grand Meridian's head of security approached. His radio crackled, drawing every eye in the lobby. "We have a situation, Jake," Derek called out, his voice carrying newfound authority. "Suspected credit card fraud. The individual refuses to cooperate." Jake's 6'4" frame cast a shadow over Damon. His hand rested casually on his utility belt. "Sir, I need you to come with me for questioning." "What crime am I committing?" Damon's voice remained level. "Theft by deception. Fraud. Disturbing the peace." Jake counted on his fingers. "Take your pick." At Luxury Lifestyle, Bry's phone nearly slipped from her hands. Her viewer count exploded past 2,100. Comments streamed. "Security is here." This escalated quick. "Someone call a lawyer." Elena seized the moment, her voice rising to operatic levels. "Jake, look at this pathetic excuse for a credit card." She waved the black Amex like a battle flag. He probably bought it online for $19.99. The teenage TikToker hit go live. Within seconds, 500 viewers joined her stream titled, "Hotel Staff Destroys Scammer Live." Jennifer Cole, the assistant manager, materialized from the business center. Her heels clicked against marble as she surveyed the scene with practiced efficiency. "What's the status?" Jennifer's question was directed at Derek, but her eyes never left Damon. "Classic fraud attempt," Derek explained, puffing up like a peacock. "An individual attempted to use a clearly counterfeit premium card, refused additional verification." Jennifer nodded knowingly. "Elena, call Chicago PD. Request a fraud specialist." "Already dialing." Elena's voice pitched higher with excitement. She held her phone theatrically, ensuring every camera caught her performance. The elderly couple from the armchairs had migrated closer. The wife clutched her pearls while whispering, "These criminals are getting so bold." Imagine trying this in broad daylight. Her husband nodded sagely. "Probably has a crew outside. This is how they operate. Send the clean-cut one first." Their speculation spread through the crowd like wildfire. Guests began checking their purses, wallets with paranoid intensity. Damon checked his watch. 6:55 p.m. His dinner meeting crept closer. A young black woman near the elevator, the only person of color among the guests, held her phone uncertainly. Her finger hovered over the record button, torn between action and self-preservation. Jake stepped closer, his presence designed to intimidate. "Sir, place your hands where I can see them. Any sudden movements, and this gets complicated." "Complicated how?" Damon asked, genuinely curious. "Resisting arrest carries additional charges." At Luxury Lifestyle _Bry's comment section exploded. "Arrest? For what? This is insane. Get this to the news." Derek positioned himself behind reception like a general commanding troops. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly why Grand Meridian maintains the highest security standards. We protect valued guests from individuals who prey on luxury establishments." Applause rippled through the crowd. Several guests nodded approvingly. Elena held the black card under lobby lights, performing forensic analysis. "Look at this craftsmanship," she announced to her growing audience. "The edges are rough. Real Amex black cards are laser-cut precision. This looks like something from a cereal box." More laughter. Phone cameras zoomed in, capturing Elena's theatrical examination. "And look at how lightweight it feels," Elena continued, tossing the card up and catching it. "Genuine Centurion cards have actual weight. This plastic toy probably weighs less than my business card." The crowd murmured appreciatively at her expertise. Jennifer approached with clipboard efficiency. "Sir, before the police arrive, you have one opportunity to resolve this civilly. Admit the card is fraudulent. Sign this incident report. Leave through our service entrance. No charges filed." She slid a pre-printed form across the counter. Acknowledgement of fraudulent activity. The crowd pressed closer, sensing the climax approaching. Derek's confidence reached peak arrogance. He strutted around the counter, addressing the crowd like a motivational speaker. "This, folks, is why criminals target luxury hotels. They assume wealth equals gullibility. Well, not on my watch." Scattered applause encouraged him further. "I've worked in hospitality for 12 years. I can spot fraudsters from across a lobby. The clothes, the posture, the desperation. It's all textbook." Jake's radio crackled. "Unit 47 to base, what's your ETA on that fraud call?" "Tell them we have a suspect in custody," Jennifer interjected. "Send a detective for questioning." Elena practically vibrated with excitement. "This is better than reality TV. Wait until the corporation hears how we handled this masterfully." The TikToker's live stream hit 1,200 viewers. Her comments became a battlefield. "This is racist AF. Hotel staff doing their job. That man's about to sue them. Someone help him." But the mob mentality had taken hold. Guests shared theories, speculation, and righteous indignation about criminals targeting innocent people. A businessman in an expensive suit turned to his companion. "This is exactly why I only stay at verified establishments. You never know who's lurking around these days." Damon's phone buzzed. "Board call. Urgent. Chairman Williams." He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his shirt pocket. The movement sent Jake's hand to his radio immediately. "Hands visible!" Jake barked. Damon slowly extracted his first-class boarding pass. Chicago O'Hare to Tokyo Narita, departing 8:45 a.m., seat 1A. The $12,000 ticket. Nobody noticed the airline insignia or seat class. They saw only what they expected, more evidence. "Probably printed that at FedEx office," Derek sneered. "Identity theft 101. Elena snatched the boarding pass, waving it triumphantly. "Look at this amateur hour. He's got fake documents to support the fake card. This is organized crime, people." She held both items high above her head like a referee announcing a knockout. The crowd's energy reached fever pitch. They were witnessing justice, evil being thwarted by vigilant hotel staff. Jake's radio crackled again. "Unit 47, Detective Rodriguez en route. ETA 6 minutes. "Perfect timing," Jennifer smiled coldly. "Sir, final offer. Sign the confession, apologize to these innocent guests you've disturbed, and walk away. Detective Rodriguez has zero patience for credit card fraud." The wall clock showed 7:02 p.m., 28 minutes until Damon's dinner meeting. At Luxury Lifestyle, Bree's viewer count peaked at 2,847. Her phone battery flashed red, but she kept filming. This content would define her career. Elena held both the black card and boarding pass like trophies of war. Should we check his wallet too? Probably full of fake IDs and stolen credit cards. "Great idea," Derek nodded enthusiastically. "Jake, search him for additional fraudulent materials." Several guests pulled out their own phones, creating a semicircle of cameras. The young black woman finally started recording, her hands shaking slightly. But as Jake stepped forward, Damon finally moved. Not away, not in surrender. He pulled out his phone with deliberate slowness, his thumb hovering over a particular app. His smile returned wider this time, carrying secrets that would shatter every assumption in that marble arena. The storm had arrived. Damon's thumb swiped across his phone screen with surgical precision. The American Express mobile app opened, displaying his account dashboard in crisp digital clarity. "This is interesting," he said quietly, his voice cutting through the lobby's electric tension. "Let me show you what a real Amex Black Card account looks like." He turned the phone toward Elena, the screen glowing like a beacon in the marble-floored arena. Account name, Damon Alexander Card. Type, Centurion Black Card. Invitation only. Available credit, $500,000. Current balance, $47,832. Average monthly spending, $87,000. Member, since 2018. Elena's face drained of color like water rushing from a broken dam. Her mouth opened, then closed, producing no sound except a strangled gasp. That can't be real," she whispered, her theatrical confidence evaporating like morning mist under the scorching sun. "Call American Express," Damon suggested calmly, his voice carrying the patience of a teacher with particularly slow students. "The customer service number is on the back of this fake card you've been mocking for the past 15 minutes. Derek pushed closer, squinting at the screen like he was trying to decode hieroglyphics. His bravado flickered as the numbers registered in his overwhelmed brain. "Anyone can Photoshop an app screenshot," he stammered, but his voice lacked conviction. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the lobby's perfect climate control. At Luxury Lifestyle _Bry's live stream exploded with comments scrolling faster than humanly readable. "Holy shit, the account is real. $500,000 credit limit. Elena's about to be unemployed. This is insane." The crowd pressed closer, phones adjusting angles like paparazzi at a celebrity meltdown. The energy had shifted from entertainment to witnessing history. Damon calmly opened his phone's browser, navigating to the Grand Meridian corporate website with deliberate slowness. Every tap echoed in the suddenly quiet lobby like gunshots. He scrolled methodically to the Corporate Partnerships section and tapped a press release dated exactly 2 weeks earlier. Grand Meridian Hotels announces historic partnership with Alexander Industries, $500 million development contract signed in Chicago ceremony. The headline filled his screen in bold corporate typography. Below it, a professional photograph showed Damon in a Navy business suit, shaking hands with Grand Meridian's CEO Patricia Blackwood. Both were smiling, surrounded by executives and architectural renderings. "Interesting partnership you have here," Damon said, showing the screen to Elena with the same tone a professor might use to point out a student's mathematical error. Her hands trembled violently as she read. The theatrical energy that had sustained her performance crumbled completely, replaced by naked terror. "What does that have to do with anything?" she asked weakly, though her voice betrayed growing panic. Her grip on the black card loosened, nearly dropping it. "Everything." Damon's smile widened slowly, like sunrise breaking over mountains. "I'm Damon Alexander, CEO of Alexander Industries." Derek's laugh came out as a strangled bark. "Right, sure you are. Prove it then. And I'm Jeff Bezos having a casual Friday." But Jake Morrison stepped back instinctively, his law enforcement training recognizing a fundamental shift in power dynamics. Something in Damon's posture had changed. Not defeat, but revelation. The crowd pressed closer, sensing the tide turning dramatically. Phones adjusted angles, capturing every micro-expression of the unfolding corporate drama. Jennifer Cole pushed forward, her clipboard forgotten but her skepticism intact. "This could still be fabricated. Websites can be manipulated. We've seen elaborate scams before." Damon nodded appreciatively at her due diligence. "Excellent point, Jennifer. Let's verify through multiple independent sources." He opened another browser tab, navigating to Forbes.com. His fingers moved with practiced efficiency, typing Damon Alexander, CEO Chicago into the search bar. The results populated instantly like slot machine jackpots. Damon Alexander, 45, Alexander Industries CEO, closes biggest Chicago development deal in decade. From Southside to Boardroom, the Alexander Industries success story. Black excellence in business. CEO Damon Alexander's $2.3 billion empire. Chicago's power players, Damon Alexander, reshapes urban development. He selected the Forbes article from 3 weeks earlier. The hero image showed Damon in an executive conference room, surrounded by architectural models and development plans, clearly commanding the meeting. The caption read in crisp, professional font, Alexander Industries CEO, Damon Alexander, reviews plans for the company's latest $500 million hotel partnership program with Grand Meridian Hotels during an exclusive Forbes interview. The lobby fell into cathedral silence. Even the ambient piano music seemed to pause in respect. Elena's breathing became shallow and rapid. She stared at the phone screen as if it were displaying her own obituary in real time. Her theatrical mask had completely dissolved. Derek's face cycled through confusion, denial, and dawning horror in rapid succession. His hospitality management training had never prepared him for this apocalyptic scenario. You actually... Derek's voice cracked like a teenager asking someone to prom. A distinguished businessman near the elevators suddenly straightened. "Wait a minute. I recognize him now. That's definitely Damon Alexander. I heard him speak at the Chicago Business Council last month. Brilliant presentation on urban renewal." Other guests began pulling up their own phones, cross-referencing, verifying. Whispered confirmations rippled through the crowd like wildfire. "Holy shit, he's right," a woman in designer clothes gasped. "I just Googled him. He's worth like $2 billion. Elena's knees buckled slightly. She grabbed the reception counter for support, her face cycling through various shades of green. "This has to be some kind of elaborate mistake," she whispered to Derek desperately. "Some massive con game with fake websites and planted actors in the crowd." Derek nodded frantically, clinging to denial like a drowning man clutching driftwood. Damon opened LinkedIn on his phone, typing his own name with theatrical flair. His executive profile appeared immediately. Damon Alexander, Chief Executive Officer, Alexander Industries, 2.3 million plus followers, 15,247 connections. Recent post. Thrilled to announce our groundbreaking partnership with Grand Meridian Hotels. The post displayed 47,832 likes and 892 comments from verified industry leaders, politicians, and business celebrities. "I don't just qualify for a Centurion card," Damon continued conversationally, his voice carrying across the hushed lobby. "I was personally invited by American Express CEO Stephen Squeri after our companies exceeded $250,000 in annual spending. We have dinner quarterly at his private club to discuss corporate spending strategies and partnership opportunities." The TikToker's live stream hit 3,200 viewers. Comments flooded faster than the screen could display them. Plot twist of the century. They just destroyed their careers on live TV. Someone screen record this entire thing. "Elena is so fired, it's not even funny. This is going viral worldwide." Additional guests began recognizing Damon from magazine covers, business conferences, and news interviews. The whispered confirmations grew into audible discussions. Elena's theatrical confidence had been completely obliterated, replaced by existential dread. She stared at the black American Express card in her trembling hands, the same card she'd mocked, flicked, and dismissed as obvious fraud like she was holding a nuclear device. "This is impossible," she whispered to Derek, her voice barely audible. "How were we supposed to know he was actually a millionaire?" Damon finished her sentence gently. "You weren't supposed to know my net worth or corporate position. You were supposed to treat me with basic human dignity regardless of my appearance, my clothing choices, or your personal assumptions about who belongs in your establishment." The lobby's marble floors amplified every whispered conversation, every phone notification, every heartbeat of the people who'd just witnessed their assumptions shatter like crystal hitting concrete. Jake Morrison's radio crackled ominously. "Unit 47, Detective Rodriguez on scene in lobby, requesting immediate status update on fraud suspect." Jake looked at his radio, then at Damon, then at the crowd of recording phones. His law enforcement instincts screamed warnings about viral videos, discrimination lawsuits, and career-ending mistakes. "Base, we need to cancel that fraud call immediately. The situation has been clarified." "Negative, Unit 47. Detective Rodriguez is already in the building and ascending to your location." All eyes turned toward the elevator bank where polished steel doors reflected the chaos of the marble lobby. The storm had arrived in full force, and everything was about to change forever. Detective Maria Rodriguez emerged from the elevator like a force of nature, her badge gleaming under the crystal chandelier. Her eyes swept the lobby with practiced efficiency, taking in the crowd of phones, the trembling hotel staff, and Damon standing calmly at the center of it all. "Someone wants to explain what's happening here?" Her voice carried the authority of 15 years in law enforcement. Damon stepped forward, extending his hand with the same confidence he'd use in a boardroom. "Detective Rodriguez, I'm Damon Alexander, CEO of Alexander Industries. I believe there's been a significant misunderstanding that requires immediate clarification." Rodriguez shook his hand, her trained eye noting his calm demeanor, expensive watch, and the crowd's shifted energy. "Mr. Alexander, I was called here for credit card fraud. You're the alleged suspect?" Elena's voice cracked like breaking glass. "He tried to use a fake black card." "We caught him red-handed." Rodriguez turned to Elena with professional skepticism. "Ma'am, What specific evidence do you have of fraud? Derek stepped forward, desperation oozing from his pores like sweat. Detective, look at him! Does he look like someone who can afford a $500 a night penthouse suite? The question hung in the air like toxic gas, poisoning everything it touched. Rodriguez's expression hardened dangerously. Sir, appearance isn't evidence of criminal activity. That's called profiling, and it's federally illegal. Damon calmly addressed the crowd that had swelled to nearly 40 people, each phone capturing history. Everyone recorded you mocking a black man's black card. But this isn't just any black card, it's connected to the company that keeps this hotel chain profitable. He opened his phone to a document marked Confidential, Alexander Industries Partnership Agreement. Grand Meridian Hotels Corporate Contract 2024 GC0847, Damon read aloud with courtroom precision. Alexander Industries commits to $500 million in exclusive development partnerships over 60 months. Elena's face went ghost white, all theatrical energy drained. $500 million? Section 3.2. Partnership includes 47 hotel properties across Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio. Damon's voice carried across the silent lobby like a judge reading a verdict. Section 3.4. Average annual revenue generation per property, $10.6 million. Derek grabbed the reception phone with shaking hands, his career flashing before his eyes like a drowning man's life. Corporate office, this is Derek Phillips at Chicago Grand Meridian. I need to speak with Sarah Lane immediately. It's a code red emergency. At Luxury Lifestyle, Bry's live stream peaked at 4,200 viewers. Her comment feed became a waterfall of reactions, scrolling faster than humanly readable. This is corporate warfare. $500 million. Derek is about to get annihilated. Elena just cost them everything. This is insane. Rodriguez pulled out her notepad, recognizing a civil rights incident when she saw one. Mr. Alexander, would you like to file a discrimination complaint? This appears to be textbook racial profiling. Before Damon could answer, Derek's call connected. He switched to the speakerphone with trembling fingers, his voice shaking like autumn leaves. Sarah? Thank God you answered. We have Damon Alexander here claiming to be the CEO of Alexander Industries, and there's been some confusion about his credit card. Damon Alexander is there? Sarah Chen's voice exploded through the phone speaker like a bomb detonating in the marble lobby. Derek, what the hell happened? Put him on the line immediately. The lobby fell into cathedral silence except for the sound of Derek's world crumbling in real time. Sarah's voice continued at panic volume. Damon Alexander is our biggest client. He personally negotiated our largest contract in company history. He's worth $2.3 billion. What did you people do to him? Jennifer Cole stepped backward like she'd been physically struck by lightning. The clipboard slipped from her numb hands, clattering on the marble floor with echoing finality. Damon took the phone calmly, his voice steady as granite. Hello, Sarah. Your Chicago Grand Meridian staff accused me of credit card fraud, called security, threatened arrest, and refused service based entirely on my appearance and race. The silence on the other end stretched for 5 eternal seconds that felt like geological epochs. When Sarah spoke again, her voice cracked with professional panic. Damon, I am mortified beyond words. This is a catastrophic failure of our corporate values. Derek, you're suspended immediately pending full investigation. Jennifer, you're written up for failure to de-escalate. Elena, report to HR tomorrow morning for disciplinary review. Sarah's voice continued at machine gun pace. Damon, whatever you need, whatever accommodates you, it happens right now. The presidential suite, executive services, personal concierge, helicopter transport, anything. Detective Rodriguez watched the corporate meltdown with professional interest. Mr. Alexander, I'm still obligated to file a report. This appears to be clear discrimination based on race and appearance under federal civil rights statutes. Damon nodded thoughtfully. Detective, I appreciate your diligence. but I'm more interested in systematic change than individual punishment or financial compensation. He opened his phone to display corporate financial data with surgical precision. This isn't just about my personal experience. Let me show everyone the real numbers. The crowd pressed closer, phones recording every detail of the corporate education about to unfold. Alexander Industries employs 3,400 people across 5 states. Our annual payroll exceeds $240 million. We generate approximately $8.7 million in annual tax revenue for Chicago alone. Elena clutched the reception counter like it was the edge of a cliff, her knuckles white with terror and dawning comprehension. Our partnership with Grand Meridian supports 847 direct jobs at hotel properties, plus approximately 2,200 indirect jobs through construction, maintenance, and vendor relationships. Derek's hands shook as he held the phone, sweat beading on his forehead despite the perfect climate control. Sarah, we can fix this. We can make it right. Please don't cancel the contract. Derek, you humiliated our most important client on live stream. This is already trending on Twitter with hashtag Grand Meridian Racism. Our stock price is going to tank Monday morning. The board is going to have my head on a platter. Damon opened his phone to show a legal document with official letterhead and corporate seals. Partnership Agreement, Section 12.3. Discriminatory practices by partner facilities constitute immediate grounds for contract termination with full financial penalties and liquidated damages. He looked directly at Elena, his voice carrying boardroom authority that commanded absolute attention. Your mockery of my black card wasn't just personal racism. It was a material breach of contract worth $500 million, plus penalties that could reach an additional $50 million. The teenage TikToker's stream hit 5,500 viewers. Comments exploded faster than her phone could process. He's quoting contract law like a boss. This is better than Netflix. Elena single-handedly destroyed a hotel chain. Someone give this man a medal. This is going viral worldwide. A distinguished businessman in an expensive suit stepped forward from the crowd. Mr. Alexander, I'm James Morrison, partner at Morrison & Associates law firm. If you need legal representation for civil rights violations, I'd be honored to assist pro bono. Damon smiled appreciatively. Thank you, James, but I believe in resolution over litigation when possible. Rodriguez stepped closer to Damon, her professional respect obvious. Sir, what outcome are you seeking here? Criminal charges, civil lawsuits, corporate sanctions? Damon checked his vintage Omega, 7:15 p.m. 15 minutes until his Tokyo investors' dinner that could determine his company's expansion into Asian markets. I don't want anyone fired, he said calmly, surprising everyone, including Rodriguez. I want systematic change that prevents this from happening to the next person who doesn't look like your typical guest. Sarah Chen's voice cracked through the speaker with desperate hope. Damon, name your terms. Anything. The board will approve whatever you require. 24 hours to implement comprehensive bias training for all customer-facing staff. Anonymous discrimination reporting system accessible via smartphone app. Diversity officer position created within 30 days with salary minimum $120,000 annually. Monthly third-party audits of service practices by certified civil rights organizations. The crowd murmured appreciation for his measured, constructive response that focused on solutions rather than retribution. And, Damon continued, Elena participates in a 40-hour cultural sensitivity program with community leaders, not as punishment, but as education. This becomes a learning opportunity that benefits everyone. Elena looked up with surprised gratitude mixed with residual terror at her narrow escape from career destruction. Done, Sarah's voice cracked through the phone with relief. Damon, the board will ratify these changes by emergency vote tomorrow morning. I'll personally oversee implementation and report progress weekly. Detective Rodriguez closed her notepad with a decisive snap. Mr. Alexander, this resolution satisfies the civil rights violation from a law enforcement perspective. Will you be pursuing federal charges through the U.S. Attorney's Office? No, detective. Education serves society better than litigation. Punishment creates fear. Education creates understanding and lasting change. Rodriguez nodded with obvious admiration. This is exactly how these situations should be handled. Mr. Phillips, consider yourself extraordinarily fortunate that Mr. Alexander chose reconciliation over retaliation. Derek slumped against the reception desk like a boxer who'd survived 15 brutal rounds but lost the championship fight. The storm had passed, leaving transformation in its wake. 6 months later, the Grand Meridian Chicago lobby buzzed with different energy. A sleek digital display near reception showcased the hotel's Dignity First certification, a program now standard across all 47 partnership properties. Elena Vasquez stood behind the same marble counter, but her approach had transformed completely. She greeted a casually dressed black businessman with genuine warmth, processing his platinum card without hesitation or commentary. "Welcome to Grand Meridian, Mr. Johnson. Your executive suite is ready, and I've arranged a late checkout as requested." The man smiled appreciatively. "Thank you. This is exactly the service I expected." Derek Phillips watched from his new role as Assistant Guest Services Manager, a demotion that came with mandatory sensitivity training and probationary status. His ego had been humbled, but his perspective had expanded significantly. Jennifer Cole approached Elena during a brief lull. The monthly audit results came in. Perfect scores across all categories again. Elena nodded with quiet pride. It's amazing how treating people with basic dignity improves everything. Guest satisfaction, employee morale, even revenue. The transformation hadn't been easy. Those first weeks after the live stream incident felt like corporate purgatory. Elena had spent 40 hours with Chicago's Community Leadership Council, listening to stories of discrimination, learning about unconscious bias, and understanding the real-world impact of assumptions based on appearance. The breakthrough came during week 3, when an elderly black woman shared her experience of being followed in department stores, questioned about her presence in upscale neighborhoods, and treated as suspicious until proven innocent. "I realized I wasn't just being rude to Mr. Alexander," Elena confided to her trainer. "I was perpetuating a system that hurts people every single day." The Hotel Voice anonymous reporting app had been downloaded 47,000 times across Grand Meridian properties. Reports of discrimination dropped 89% within 4 months, not because incidents stopped occurring, but because staff behavior changed when they knew they were being monitored and evaluated. Dr. Patricia Williams had been hired as Chief Diversity Officer, bringing 15 years of corporate consulting experience. Her office occupied prime real estate on the executive floor, and her recommendations carried CEO-level authority. "The Alexander incident was catastrophic for our reputation," Dr. Williams explained during a staff meeting, "but it became the catalyst for industry-leading change. Other hotel chains are adopting our protocols. The financial impact had been staggering initially. Grand Meridian stock dropped 12% the Monday after the viral video, wiping out $340 million in market value. Number Grand Meridian racism trended for 6 days, generating 2.3 million mentions across social media platforms. But the recovery surprised analysts. By month 3, guest satisfaction scores hit all-time highs. Diverse clientele increased 23%, bringing new revenue streams. Corporate partnerships expanded as companies valued Grand Meridian's commitment to inclusive practices. Sarah Lane had been promoted to Executive Vice President, tasked with rolling out the Alexander Protocol across all hotel brands owned by the parent company. "Damon Alexander saved our company," Sarah admitted during a board presentation. "He could have destroyed us legally and financially. Instead, he chose to help us become better. The lawsuit threats never materialized. Instead, Alexander Industries extended their partnership through 2030, adding 12 additional properties to the development pipeline." Elena had become an unlikely ambassador for the transformation. Her story, from discriminatory mockery to cultural competency advocate, resonated with hospitality workers nationwide. "I was raised to judge people by their appearance, their clothes, their accents," Elena shared during a diversity training video that reached 890,000 views. "I thought I was protecting the hotel from fraud. I was actually perpetrating harm." The video showed Elena meeting with Damon Alexander for coffee 3 months after the incident. The conversation was stilted initially, but genuine respect emerged. "Elena, your willingness to learn and grow gives me hope," Damon had said on camera. "Change is possible when people commit to doing better." Jake Morrison had also undergone significant retraining. His law enforcement background had taught him to assess threats, but he'd been applying those instincts inappropriately in hospitality settings. "Security means making all guests feel safe and welcomed," Jake explained to new hires. "Real threats don't usually carry American Express black cards and boarding passes to international business meetings." The monthly third-party audits had become events staff actually welcomed. Mystery shoppers of diverse backgrounds tested service quality, documenting interactions, measuring response times, evaluating courtesy levels. Property manager Lisa Lane reviewed the latest audit results with satisfaction. 97% positive ratings across all demographics. Guest complaints are down 43% from last year. The anonymous reporting app had generated fascinating insights. Most discrimination wasn't blatant racism. It was subtle differences in service speed, eye contact, benefit of doubt assumptions, conversation tone. Unconscious bias training helped us recognize microaggressions we didn't even realize we were committing, Jennifer Cole reflected during her performance review. "I learned to pause before making assumptions." The ripple effects extended beyond hospitality. Alexander Industries had shared their diversity partnership model with other companies. 12 major corporations adopted similar contractor accountability standards. Universities began teaching the Alexander case study in business ethics courses. Harvard Business School featured Damon's conflict resolution approach as exemplary stakeholder management. At Luxury Lifestyle, Bry had transformed her social media presence, using her platform to highlight positive diversity initiatives across luxury hospitality. Her original video documenting the incident had reached 15.7 million views, but her follow-up content celebrating Grand Meridian's changes garnered equally impressive engagement. "This hotel went from viral villain to industry hero," she posted 6 months later. "Real change is possible when leadership commits to growth." The teenage TikToker who'd live-streamed the confrontation had been invited to speak at high school assemblies about bystander intervention and social media responsibility. Detective Rodriguez had used the incident in police academy training, demonstrating proper civil rights violation documentation and de-escalation techniques. "Mr. Alexander showed us how to transform conflict into community education," Rodriguez explained to recruits. "Sometimes the best police work involves stepping back and letting people solve problems constructively." Elena's personal growth had been the most dramatic. She enrolled in community college cultural studies courses, joined interfaith dialogue groups, and volunteered with immigrant services organizations. "Mr. Alexander didn't just save my job," Elena told her diversity training class. "He saved my character. I'm a better person because he chose education over revenge." The Grand Meridian Chicago had become a destination for corporate diversity consultants studying successful transformation initiatives. The lobby displayed testimonials from guests of all backgrounds, praising the inclusive atmosphere. Revenue had increased 18% year over year, driven partly by corporate clients, specifically choosing Grand Meridian for its demonstrated commitment to equality. Most importantly, the culture had shifted permanently. New employee orientation included 4 hours of bias awareness training. Promotion criteria included cultural competency evaluations. Performance reviews measured inclusive service delivery. Elena checked her watch. 7:30 p.m. on a busy Friday evening. The lobby bustled with diverse guests, business travelers, families, international visitors, all receiving identical courtesy and respect. A young black woman approached the desk, dressed casually, pulling out a black credit card. 6 months ago, Elena might have hesitated, questioned, assumed. Today, she smiled genuinely. Good evening. Welcome to Grand Meridian. How may I assist you? The woman smiled back. I have a reservation. The name is Williams. Elena processed the card efficiently, maintaining eye contact and conversation. Ms. Williams, your suite is ready. Would you like assistance with luggage? Change was possible. Growth was achievable. Dignity was universal. The Alexander incident had ended with transformation instead of destruction, education instead of litigation, hope instead of hatred. And the revolution continued, one respectful interaction at a time. 2 years later, Damon Alexander stood at the podium of the Chicago Business Ethics Summit, addressing 1,200 corporate leaders from across the nation. The same vintage Omega on his wrist caught the stage lights as he adjusted the microphone. Change doesn't require destruction, his voice carried across the silent auditorium. It requires courage, the courage to choose education over retaliation, growth over revenge, systemic reform over individual punishment. The audience leaned forward, captivated by the man whose hotel lobby confrontation had become legendary in business schools nationwide. Behind him, a presentation slide displayed stunning statistics. Grand Meridian Hotels, 89% reduction in discrimination complaints. Industry adoption, 247 hotel chains implementing Alexander protocols. Employee satisfaction, 34% increase across participating properties. Revenue impact, $127 million, additional revenue from inclusive practices. That evening in the Grand Meridian lobby, I had 2 choices, Damon continued. I could destroy careers, file lawsuits, seek maximum punishment, or I could plant seeds of transformation that would prevent future discrimination. Elena Vasquez watched from the audience, now Grand Meridian's Regional Diversity Coordinator, earning $89,000 annually. Her transformation from discriminatory concierge to inclusion advocate had inspired hundreds of hospitality workers. The choice seemed obvious to me, Damon smiled. Punishment creates temporary compliance through fear. Education creates permanent change through understanding. The Alexander Industries Scholarship Program had awarded $4.2 million to underrepresented students pursuing hospitality management degrees. 67 graduates now worked in leadership positions across major hotel chains, carrying forward the Dignity First philosophy. Dr. Patricia Williams, now Grand Meridian's Executive Vice President of Inclusive Excellence, had been invited to consult with 89 Fortune 500 companies. Her unconscious bias-interrupted methodology was taught in MBA programs at Harvard, Wharton, and Stanford. The economic case for inclusive practices is overwhelming. Damon clicked to his next slide. Companies implementing comprehensive bias training see average revenue increases of 19% within 18 months. Employee retention improves by 23%. Customer satisfaction scores rise 31%. Sarah Lane had been promoted to Chief Operating Officer, overseeing the most profitable period in Grand Meridian's corporate history. The company's stock price had increased 67% since implementing the Alexander protocols, outperforming hospitality sector averages by 34%. But numbers don't tell the complete story. Damon's voice softened. The real victory is measured in human dignity restored, assumptions challenged, stereotypes shattered. The Hotel Voice app had expanded beyond hospitality, becoming a platform for reporting discrimination across retail, banking, healthcare, and education sectors. Over 890,000 downloads had generated 47,000 incident reports, leading to policy changes at 2,300 businesses nationwide. Jake Morrison had been promoted to Director of Inclusive Security Operations, developing training programs that helped security professionals distinguish between actual threats and unconscious bias responses. Detective Rodriguez had testified before Congress about the intersection of civil rights enforcement and community education, using the Alexander case as a model for constructive conflict resolution. Every person in this room has influence. Damon addressed the audience directly. You can choose to perpetuate systems that judge people by appearance, accent, or assumed social status. Or you can build cultures where dignity is universal and respect is non-negotiable. At Luxury Lifestyle, Bry had leveraged her viral documentation of the incident to build a media company focused on social justice storytelling. Her documentary, From Mockery to Mentorship, The Grand Meridian Transformation, had won 3 industry awards. The teenage TikToker, now studying journalism at Northwestern University, had been awarded a full scholarship through the Alexander Foundation for ethical media coverage. Systemic change happens when individuals commit to personal growth. Damon clicked to his final slide. A photograph of him shaking hands with Elena at her graduation ceremony from DePaul University's Cultural Studies program. Elena Vasquez could have remained defensive, blaming circumstances or claiming ignorance. Instead, she chose vulnerability, education, and transformation. Today, she trains thousands of hospitality workers annually, turning her moment of failure into a lifetime of positive impact. Elena wiped tears from her eyes, remembering her journey from shame to purpose. The Alexander Protocol isn't just about hotels, Damon concluded. It's about creating spaces where everyone, regardless of race, appearance, accent, or perceived social status, receives identical dignity and respect. The standing ovation lasted 4 minutes and 37 seconds. After the presentation, corporate leaders lined up to discuss implementation strategies. Damon's assistant scheduled 67 follow-up consultations within 2 weeks. Alexander Industries had grown to 4,900 employees across 8 states, maintaining its commitment to inclusive hiring and advancement practices. The company's annual Dignity and Development Report had become required reading in urban planning graduate programs. But Damon's proudest achievement remained personal. His daughter Emma, now 18, had been accepted to Harvard Business School with plans to study ethical leadership. His son, David, 16, volunteered weekly at immigrant services organizations, teaching English to recent arrivals. "Dad taught us that power without compassion is just bullying," Emma had written in her college application essay. "Real strength means using your influence to lift others up, not tear them down." As Damon packed his presentation materials, his phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Thank you for seeing the person I could become instead of punishing the person I was. Changed my life forever." His response was immediate. "You changed your own life. I just provided the opportunity." The revolution continues in hotels, restaurants, retail stores, and boardrooms across America, one respectful interaction at a time. Have you witnessed discrimination that needed addressing? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters. Every small act of courage creates ripples of change. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut for more stories of quiet strength overcoming systemic challenges. Share this story if you believe dignity and respect should be universal values. Together, we build a world where assumptions based on appearance become extinct, and human worth is measured by character, not clothing.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.